My name is Sander Singer. I'm a pilot who wants to share his story. Join me on this journey of aviating life. Hi guys, welcome back. As you can see, we've been hard at work already today. We turned the airplane on its back because today we're looking at the tire and the main strut which carries through the plane at the bottom. And that's basically the last check we need to perform on the integrity of the aircraft to make sure that all of the structure is still in order. Because we're talking about the lowest point of the airplane, there's a tendency for water to collect down there. And what we need to do is check for any sort of water damage that could have occurred, which means rust or a rotting of the skin of the aircraft, the outer hull. So I'll just show you what we've done up to now, and yeah, just tag along with this. As you can see, she's on her back right now, and we've already taken the tire out and put it back in. Now, the tire says that it's a tubeless tire right here. In fact, it does have a tube, and we took out the tube and checked everything for leaks, for air leaks. But this tire has been in here for at least 11 years at this point, meaning that it held up until now and will probably hold up for another couple of months at least. But we did decide to put a new tube in, just to be sure, and play things safe here. Now, going along here, as you can see, this is the part we're talking about. It's really important that there's no damage down here because this keeps part of the main structure in place and maintains the integral shape of the aircraft. And also what we did, or actually Patrick did, is fix up the dragger, which was loose down here. And Patrick put on some new screws, oiled everything back up, and now it should be working back the way it's supposed to. As you can see, this is actually a hinge, and then when it compresses downwards during a landing, then the spring supports the weight of the aircraft. So what Patrick is doing right now is he's taking apart our aileron controls and is currently putting them back together. What we need to do with every single steering rod when there's joints and bearings is take it apart, degrease it, see everything's running fine, and then re-grease it and put it back together. And then by doing so, we make sure there's no fractures, there's nothing wrong with any of the joints, nothing bent, and everything's in a good condition. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to leave any square inch of this plane unchecked before we take it back up into the air. So check this out, guys. This is really insane. The fact that we are able to put together our own instrument panel is such a great feeling. There's hardly anything that can compare. I have to say, usually you just take these as a given part of each aircraft, but it takes so much work to assemble all of this. It's incredible. So before we put this into the airplane, I want to explain to you real quick what the function of each of these instruments is, because to anyone who's not so into aviation, this might look a little bit complicated. Now what we have right here is our airspeed indicator. Now this is taken in kilometers per hour. Every unit in gliding is in metrics. So you won't find any feet or miles per hour or knots, but you'll find everything in kilometers per hour and meters and kilometers, etc. So this is our airspeed indicator. You see the indication going around here. Our aircraft is supposed to fly within somewhere around this range here where you see the green part. This is where it starts to become critical, and below this is actually really critical because the aircraft can stall because there's not enough air flowing over the wing. Now up here it also becomes rather critical because it stresses the aircraft above its potential, and then you should never exceed the red line. Up here we have our altimeter. This is a smaller version, a 57 millimeter large instrument compared to this, which is 80 millimeters. Those are the two standard sizes for instruments. This is what measures your altitude. I think that's pretty common sense. Now up here we have a compass. That's pretty simple as well. And these two instruments are the most essential for glider pilots because they indicate your vertical speed in meters per second. Now this is interesting to know how much you're going upwards or downwards, because when you're gliding you're always looking for thermics, meaning lifts or winds going upwards with which you can climb and thereby maintain or achieve altitude and glide forward. And then this is the control unit for this one, which is actually electric, and this is barometric. So this takes air pressure, and this is actually taking a signal and converting it into electric energy to make an indication here, and also make a beeping sound, which is very typical for gliders. So Patrick and I are going to demonstrate how this works. First you turn on the electronics in the airplane, and then you go ahead and turn on the vario, is what it's called, your vertical speed. And then you see this needle jumping, and also this one. Now this is barometric. When Patrick whispers at the instrument panel, this one indicates a bit, and then this one as well. But just to be precise about this, these are only preliminary instrument panels. We actually have some made out of really nice wood, and these are just to configure the layout and find out how we want to have things sorted before we actually go forward and ruin our good wood. So guys, this just arrived. This is probably the most expensive part of our build up to now. I'm going to go through part for part here and show you the contents of this package and explain to you what all of this is. But first let me unpack this. So we take this out of the box, and right here we have our Form 1 tracking number. Now any instrument you put into your aircraft, especially this, needs to be authorized by the EASA, European Aviation Administration. This is the authorized release certificate called the Form 1, which, as I said, needs to be certified for every part you want to put into your airplane. So this is really, really important. Now, let's get to the contents of this. Ta-da! This is our radio, which is way too freaking expensive. It costs about 1,100 euros. And it's actually quite small. I'm surprised at the size. This right here should be our speaker for it. Now this is to be mounted in a place where we can, hear it. And it's actually just a real simple speaker, but with a certain resistance and a certain voltage running through it. So it's specially made for this type of radio, and so that it can be connected. And then here, what we have is basically a home-built kit for connecting this interface. As you can see here, you have that radio connection. The bottom connector is what will connect to this. You could buy this as a kit for way more money, or buy this like so and then put things together yourself. and we chose the latter option because it's cheaper. Patrick completed these absolute masterpieces of an instrument panel. These are pretty much the layout you've seen before in the test layout on the bad wood, but now we have this really brilliant, nice wood which came actually straight off a yacht, and we reworked, or actually Patrick reworked everything to fit the instruments, and I think it's an actual work of art what he completed here. Hand worked all these metal plates here with his handwriting, which could be better, but other than that, I think these are really brilliant. Right, all the switches are hooked up. As you can see, our FLARM, which is our collision avoidance system, is working. That was one of the later parts we bought. Our radio is now built in as well. Right, and we also have our electric variometer built in right here with the display here. And then we have a barometric one right here, and also back up here alongside an electric one, and then we have a so-called integrator back here, which shows us the medium climb rate of what this shows us. And when you look at it from the back, there's actually a ton of stuff going on here. You see all these tubes which are hooked up to the instruments. These are for different pressures, different air pressures, connecting to different parts of the aircraft. All the instruments need some different values which they work with. Some need the actual air pressure, some need the pressure from the true airspeed, which is taken from the front of the plane, and some need a compensated pressure for estimating the climb rate we currently have. And then back here you see a couple of things that aren't hooked up yet. These are the antennas for the radio, and those will still be mounted later on.